Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of A Healthy Dose of Fran. Today the Avatar returns in a video that I am very nervous about making because I'm talking today about one of the most hotly debated topics in the Avatar fandom, and that is relating to the ending of the Avatar cycle that occurs at the end of Legend of Korra Book 2. The reason why I'm nervous about making this video is because today I will be talking about how the ending of the Avatar cycle made sense. Now before you guys grab your pitchforks and torches, I do have a lot of justification for why I feel this was not a good thing, but why it did make sense for it to happen. I would like to point out, before anyone calls me heartless or whatever, I was devastated about the cycle ending when the first time I watched it. It gets you, and it continues to get you. But just with how my channel is and how my mind works, it got me to thinking when I was looking back over the series as to the possible justifications as to why it had to happen. And then throughout the rewatch that I do of Avatar The Last Airbender, the reading of the comics and of Legend of Korra, I managed to find quite a lot of evidence as to why it did make sense for it to happen. So you can throw me on the fire when it happens, but until then, here are my reasons. The first is, I suppose, slightly baseless in the fact that cycles are constantly changing. They are constantly adapting and working to the environment that they are in. And as we know just from these two series that we have of The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, these worlds have changed drastically. Legend of Korra has gone through an industrial and technological advancement that, from what we are aware of, hasn't happened in the past to such an extreme level. And as such, experiences of the past aren't really going to be as much of a benefit to the current state of being, and especially not for the future. As we learn from the graphic novels for Avatar The Last Airbender, the past lives of the avatars can only give advice based on their own experiences in their lifetimes. And we learn this in The Promise, where Roku is driven by his own experiences to the point that he almost convinces Aang to murder Zuko. And as such, Aang realises that the experiences of the past can't always benefit the present, and the Avatar needs to realise when they need to make their own decisions. Similar to Aang making his own decision about Ozai. All of his past lives told him that the only way to end the war was to kill Ozai. But Aang found another way, using his own experience. And it's this way of thinking that, especially in terms of the technological and industrial changes of Korra's world, that when harmonic convergence came around, which, as we learn, occurs every 10,000 years, this idea came into my mind that the first Avatar happened 10,000 years ago with harmonic convergence to help it happen. So who's to say that even without Vatu's influence, the Avatar cycle wouldn't have restarted? Because 10,000 years is a long period of time to accumulate so much power that it's a little too much power. But there's also the idea of the past lives. They only have so much experience, especially of what we could technically consider the old world. That world has so many different experiences and ways of living that this new world that Korra and the future avatars are going to live in. And as such, the past lives can't give them much advice and support because of the way in which the Avatar past lives work. And as such, this restarting of the cycle could have occurred with or without Vatu's help, because these cycles need to change to be able to kind of refresh the way in which these things work. And speaking of that, the Airbenders may have even known this was possible. As we see in Avatar The Last Airbender and a little bit of Legend of Korra, the Air Temple, I can't remember which one it is, if you remember let me know in the comments, has a collection of statues that go in a swirl leading to the centre of the room. And as it was pointed out on a Tumblr post, which I will link below if I can find it, it shows that there are only 2 places for statues left, one for Aang and one for Korra, who was technically the end of the previous cycle and the start of the new one. Now, Airbenders are known to be one of the most spiritually connected nations. So who's to say that from the past Airbenders and the way in which knowledge was passed down, that they maybe already knew that the cycle would restart in 10,000 years at the next harmonic convergence. And as such, they worked on the swirl to fit with the way in which the cycle would restart and where it would end. With harmonic convergence, there also came with Korra the reconnection to Rava, something that we don't technically know if it continued after 1 or if it eventually faded after a period of time due to change in histories and change in remembering. But Korra is now reconnected to Rava, which means Rava is now able to offer spiritual guidance herself, something that the past Avatar lives used to do. But now Rava can do it for Korra and maybe even the future Avatars, until the past life connection is reaccumulated in this new cycle. And as such, this beginning of a new spiritual connection will help Korra and these next avatars build themselves and build the way in which this new world will need spiritual connection because of this advancement in technology. I know this was a conversation and fear that was discussed in book 2, that with this rise in technology, the spiritual connections would fade, and as such the spirits themselves may possibly fade or kind of stay separated, which is half the reason why Korra keeps the portals open, to reconnect the spirits to the human world. And as such, Rava's spiritual guidance is needed now more than ever with this rejoined world. And in general, the Avatar, as we learn with Aang in terms of Roku, the Avatar needs to rely more on their own personal experiences than hoping that their past lives are going to help influence and make them understand the choices that they need to make. In this new world that Korra is living in, and even the world that Aang was living in, the experiences of the past, while beneficial to this world and the future, aren't always the most helpful. Instead, we have to rely on what we can learn and what we can provide to this new world and to the future. And I think that's why the restarting of the Avatar cycle works in this context, because it is a new world. It is the leading to a new future. And as such, a new cycle needed to happen, so new experiences and new ways of life for the Avatar could be had. But what do you guys think? Do you think I'm talking out of my arse, or do you agree with me? Whatever the case, let me know in the comment section down below. Please be kind. In general though, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you go to the description box down below, you'll find the links to all of my social media, my merchandise store and my Patreon. If you guys want more Avatar content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.